Welcome back to the Heat Check Podcast Live. I am your host, Chris Patrick. It's Wednesday, November 10th, 2022. And with me today, as always, your co-host and the next head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, Michael Benjamin. How are you doing today, Mr. Benjamin?
What up? What up? I'm doing great. How are you fellas doing?
I'm good. And of course, down there is Mr. VSP Tallman, bringing you the hot takes like hotcakes. You know him, you love him. How you doing, big guy?
Doing good, man. How you guys doing?
Chilling, man. Chilling. I hit you guys up on Monday, and I was like, we have to do a Heat Check podcast live this week because we got the Cam Johnson injury, we got the Arizona Cardinals, and people calling for Cliff Kingsbury's head. So and Hard Knocks is going on. I think it's airing tonight is the premiere. So we definitely have a lot to talk about, and I'm excited to get into it with you guys. But first, I want to make sure that everyone out there is following us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at AZ_VSP. And of course, right here on YouTube and Facebook at Valley Sports Plug. Pretty much just Google Valley Sports Plug and you'll be able to find us out there. You got it. So guys, let's get right into it. I think as the title would suggest, we should lead off with this Cam Johnson injury. Me and Tallman were just talking about some of the wagers we placed tonight on the Suns game. I lost by just one leg, but we're not going to get into that. What I want to highlight, though, is that the Suns came out with the victory over the Minnesota Timberwolves when they were at the underdog actually going into the game. Earlier on, they were projected to win, but with the news of Chris Paul being out with the heel strain, the tables had kind of turned. But the Suns handled them very easily, scoring a lot of points. So I want to throw it over to you first, Michael Benjamin. What are you thinking about the impact of these most recent injuries, particularly with Cam Johnson and Chris Paul?
I think the Cam Johnson injury is going to be bigger than we really expected, unfortunately. We kind of started to see it against Philadelphia when Torrey Craig came into the starting lineup. And it always just takes some time to adjust. You know, you have a completely different offensive player in Torrey Craig. He's just not that consistent of a shooter. You know, he's asked to do a lot of the dirty work. So you're going to have to find pieces around to pick up the slack in regards to the scoring department. The Philly game was really, really a tough start, but I'll chalk that up to just trying to figure out what the next step is. Unfortunately, I didn't get to check out the game tonight, but it looks like we were basically ahead the entire game, had a pretty comfortable 20-point lead, and I think we ended up winning by 12. So we handled business against the two big men in Minnesota once again, Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. But Cam Johnson, I was surprised that they did the snip on his meniscus and not just tried to repair it. But maybe that's just him, once again, being a reckless abandonment kind of guy and just wanting to get back as soon as possible, because I know some of the sayings where if you do a repair, it can be, 4 to 6 months, whereas if you do the snip, it's 1 to 2 months. So if we could see Cam back, in less than 15, 20 games, which is crazy to think about it. But he's become a really pivotal piece to that starting lineup. And we're going to start to see how this team moves forward within the next 10 games, specifically as we start to actually play some different competition. I mean, my goodness, we played Portland 3 times already. We just played Minnesota again. Like, I'm ready to see how this team is starting to stack up against some of the other better teams in the NBA. And we got Golden State coming in again soon. So just got to hold the ship. Gotta keep the momentum going, and we started to do that today, which is a good thing. And the other thing I'll say is Chris Paul's injury. I know he has heel soreness, but how long is that lingering, and going to be around for him? He is an older guy, 38 years old. Those kind of things, you can start to see 1 or 2 game absences stretch into a week or two. So we'll see. And, it becomes more imperative to get Jay Crowder out of here and get some pieces back now, 100%.
Yeah, I think the Jay Crowder move is imminent. It has to happen soon because we can't just be sitting around missing pieces now due to injury. You just saw there Cam Johnson out 1 to 2 months. I wouldn't doubt if he's obviously, I don't know if it was his decision, probably for the best though. Like we were talking about it the other night at our game, that he needs to protect his own in a way. He is not under a long-term deal, and that's what he's seeking. So he doesn't want to rush it back. He wants to be able to preserve his future, if you will. So I can't blame him for that. So Tallman, I know you don't always like to comment on the Suns and their happenings, but just
I always like it.
I know. I'm just teasing you. I'm just fucking with you. But from your perspective and like just even maybe not just even basketball, but just sports in general, like what is your like perspective, or what do you think about him coming back from a knee injury like that and the type of player he'll be when he returns?
Well, I mean, I'm not a doctor or anything. I don't know what the long-term effect is doing just a snip or, doing the whole full reconstruction. But like you said, the main reason he did that is because it's a contract year for him. And he wants to get back as soon as possible and be able to make some money. And like you said, secure his future. And then also, I mean, if you got to sit on the sideline when you're on one of the best teams in the NBA, when you guys are trying to win a title and kind of, get back as soon as possible to be a part of that, window before it closes. So I don't blame him. And I'm actually not surprised that he did the snip. But 1 month, 2 months, I mean, that's a big range. I mean, that could be 15 games, 30 games. So it's definitely going to hurt him. But man, I feel bad for him because what was it? Last year, he got hurt in that Knicks game where he nailed that game winner, right? He hurt was it a knee or it was something? I don't remember exactly what he hurt. And then he has his best game of the season, the game before the Portland game, where he goes for 29 points, and then he gets hurt right after it. So I feel bad. It's like he's just plagued with that bad luck. But I don't know. I don't think we really got to see the kind of player he would be as a starter, and it sucks he's missing these, possibly 2 months, because out of any player on the team that needed to play these regular season games to get to the playoffs and kind of build up that experience with starting minutes, it was Cam Johnson. It was Cam Johnson that needed that experience in those minutes. So I think he'll come back strong and eager to get back in the lineup, because hopefully the Suns will have a good record by then.
Yeah, I mean they're at the top of the West. I think I haven't checked the standings, but I think they're right up near the top still. I think 8-3 now on the season, so really good start. I think they're showing that they can make the adjustments well, and that players can step up. And that's what I think that I've really seen, is that the bench is reliable, but more so to what we're talking about with Cam Johnson and these injury related topics. I think that was like the biggest concern was Mike kind of highlighted there for Cam Johnson. He does kind of play a little bit reckless, and he does kind of throw himself around there. And then on the other side, with Chris Paul being out tonight and injured, those were concerns with him as well, with just him being a 37, going to be 38-year-old during this season, and maybe not having the longevity or the durability that a younger Chris Paul did. And, father time is undefeated. That's what they say. So I think I'm optimistic. The fact that we were able to get this win tonight against Minnesota, obviously, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't really see Minnesota as a very threatening team right now with their current state. I know they got Gobert, Towns, D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards. So on paper, you got all this talent, but I don't know. They just haven't really shown that, in my opinion, from what I've seen anyway, an ability. But that's a whole nother topic. But as it relates to these injuries, I'm going to be very curious, going forward. But Mike, while we're still on the Suns topic, I wanted to ask you, in the absence of guys like Chris Paul and Cam Johnson, who are you going to want to see really step up and make a major impact?
I mean, there's only one answer, right? It has to be DeAndre Ayton. You're talking about the guy who got his money this offseason. He needs to start producing like a guy who just got paid. There's no holding back anymore. But it can go back to the injury thing as well. He just came back from an ankle injury, and then, in that last game, he tweaked it again against Philadelphia. I know he ended up coming back in, but that's not a good sign to start the season. And he was pretty slow tonight in regards to just efficiency and overall impact, I guess, from a stat standpoint, 9.6 rebounds. I can't have that in 32 minutes, shooting 4 for 10. Like, that's not max player valuation. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be him 100% because Devin Booker is already doing everything that he possibly can to put this team on his back, taking all the brunt for the scoring right now. But either than DA, probably campaign, as he's going to have to take over for Chris Paul for who knows how much amount of time. But that also changes the way that the system is running because campaign is a score first guard, whereas Chris Paul has taken more of a step back to get everybody else involved, then take his shots. He's just not, putting up as many shots as he was the past 2 years. So he's another guy who's just going to have to fit into his role, contribute, and hold the line for these next couple of games as everybody gets, back and to 100%, hopefully. But we're so early in the season. A lot of teams are still trying to figure out what they are and who they're going to be. I mean, go back to when you ask about the standings. The Suns are second in the West right now.
Okay.
It's like a three-way tie basically between second and fourth. Portland's right behind us, and Denver is in fourth, all with an 8-3 record. But who's in first? The Utah Jazz. Nobody saw that happening, especially after the fire sale that they basically had this season. But that's why it's really crucial to start to figure out how your rotation is going to be within those first 20 games and get good momentum going down into really the brunt and the tough part of the schedule in January and February. Guys get tired, more guys get injured. You just got to, make sure you're producing to a high level. But to answer your question, the only answer is DeAndre Ayton. I did want to say one thing. Going back to Cam Johnson, Tallman, you bring up such a good point about the contract year. It almost makes it look like James Jones was a soothsayer and he saw into the future, and that's why he didn't want to pay him. And now maybe Cam Johnson is taking that route to get back a little bit faster so he can put more tape out there for either the Suns to give him the money that he requested or go out into restricted free agency and try and get, a similar type of deal in the way that DeAndre Ayton did this past summer. Not to those numbers, but to get a better deal in order to say, hey, Phoenix, if you want me, this is where I'm at now. But if you're injured and you're out for a long time, you're going to take a hit in regards to getting paid. So that totally makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think the contract year has to have a lot to do with it. And I agree with what you're saying there, Mike, where he's motivated to get back sooner so he can get that tape out there and earn more money in free agency. So I think it's smart. I mean, 2 months, it's November now. So that puts us right around the beginning of February, maybe middle of January for his return. And that's not too bad. When you think about a season that goes into the beginning of April or end of March, I believe. Can't quite remember off the top of my head, but in any case, it's a long season, and this Sun, like I've said before, the Suns team shown that it can compete. But I totally also I just have to. I know we say all the time we want to have some debates here every once in a while, but I have to agree with you with your assessment of DeAndre Ayton being the player that needs to step up. I mean, we even talked about it, I think I think it was past the outlet. I'm not even sure, but that DeAndre Ayton, his 15.3 points per game and 7.8 rebounds is not really what we were hoping for with the amount of money that we're paying him. I mean, when you're talking about max money for a center, that needs to be a double every night. You're talking top 5 center in the league. Like, the center is not what it used to be. This is not Shaq's era. This isn't Hakeem Olajuwon. This isn't any of those guys. Dikembe Mutombo, whatever. Yao Ming. This is no. There are no big men that are really garnering that anymore without a diverse skill set or really making an impact. You look at guys like Joel Embiid. He's dropping 30 points a game when he's on the court, and I think getting pretty close to a double every night. Like, all I'm saying is the centers that are gonna get paid need to play like the money that they're earning. And it's just so Arizona the way things are kind of shaping up, man. Like I appreciate Devin Booker's loyalty, and he is really continuing to take leaps and bounds forward. Did not mean to kick my mic stand there, but I am still optimistic for this team overall. So Tallman, are you still optimistic on the Suns this season?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how can you not be optimistic? It sucks that Cam Johnson went down, but I mean, I'm not worried about him. I'm worried about the bench. But looking at some of the performances tonight, I mean, how do you not feel good about it? You know, Campaign stepped up. Mikal Bridges was phenomenal. That guy needs to chill out, man. He's playing way too many minutes, but I know that's what he's known for. So I'm definitely optimistic. DeAndre Ayton, I mean, like you guys are saying, where's the intensity with him? You know, and then you brought up a great name, Joel Embiid, when, you know, we just played against the 76ers.
Mm-hmm.
And Joel Embiid, what he made 16 free throws, I think, and he got to the line, what, 8 times, whatever. I'm just doing math. I don't know. I don't have that in front of me, but he was 16 for
Yeah, let me
16
see.
from the line. And DeAndre Ayton, through the entire season, he's only made 16 free throws. So Joel Embiid literally matched DeAndre Ayton's season total from the line in one game against him. Where's the intensity? How come he's not dunking all over people? You know, and like I remember, I'll never forget going to ASU game against U of A when Ayton was still there, and he was just destroying us at home in Tempe. And I was like, damn, I was like, this kid's going to be good. And then when we drafted him with the first pick, I know, you should have drafted the hoe, but we were all excited to get Aiden because he was going to mix well with the team, but he's not that as intense as he was in college. So it's sad to see him play 33 minutes and only have 9 points and 6 rebounds. I mean, I don't know. And then you look at some of the centers. He went up against 2 pretty good centers tonight on the Timberwolves. I mean, Towns didn't have a good game, but you got Rudy Gobert. How did he score 25 points? That guy's not an offensive guy. You know, it's crazy how everyone else stepped up because they knew they had to step up with no Paul, no Johnson, or knowing in their first game, knowing Johnson's out for 2 months possibly. They all stepped up, but where was DeAndre Ayton? But other than that, I don't know. It's typical Ayton. So for now, it's typical Ayton, but I'm optimistic because I think we saw some promise tonight.
I'm with you, man. Like, I look at this box score, and obviously I got to dissect the film to see exactly what happened. But you see Rudy Gobert shoots 8 for 11, and what does he shoot? He shoots right around the basket. Who's guarding the guy? DeAndre Ayton. So it's like both sides of the ball. He must have had just a tough game. But, you know, the way that Campaign is so aggressive, I wish that DeAndre Ayton kind of had a semblance of that. And you can go back to whatever kind of spat that him and Monty Williams had, and when he was basically saying, well, I can't pass me the ball. And I was like, some of that comes with your aggressiveness, your willingness to find position and demand the ball. I mean, Joel Embiid demands the ball. You know, Nikola Jokic demands the ball. You can't go a possession without him touching it. And it seems like there's a lot of times where all the action is on the outside and DeAndre Ayton's not even involved. I mean, Campaign shot 18 or 17 shots tonight, and DeAndre Ayton only shot 10. That needs to be flipped every single day of the week. Not saying that I don't want Campaign to be aggressive, but I need DeAndre Ayton to be shooting 17 to 24 shots, especially with his mid-range game continuously getting better. His touch around the basket is really, really good. It's very underrated, to be honest with you. And he has all the tools and all the skill sets, but sometimes it's just kind of like, do you really got that dog in you, bro? And, you know, we're getting to the point in some of these guys' careers where you are what you are, right? You start to get a little bit older. You get a feel for the NBA game. You know what you can bring to the table, But now it comes down to consistency, and we just don't see that from him, which is so upsetting, especially for a number 1 overall pick. I don't care that it's for my own team. It's just, it's a number 1 overall pick, dude. You need to cement yourself as the best within your draft class. Like Anthony Edwards has already done that. Has he gone through some struggles? Yeah, of course, just like any young player does in the NBA. But is there any doubt that he is the number 1 pick and was the number 1 pick? I don't think there is. And we're still having this conversation about it. It's just, it's his time, man. Especially with guys going down. He has to be the number 2 option, which is what we were talking about this year. And he's got to prove it, and he's got to prove it fast.
Yeah, I need to see it. I need to see it. Going back to what we were saying earlier, he needs to be the guy that steps up. And I mean, it looks like he's trying 4 of 10, so 10 shots. But even still, out of the starters there, only Torrey Craig took fewer shots. So I also I don't want to blame Monty Williams for the game plan. Like, it makes me think back on the exit in the playoffs when he said, "I can't pass myself the ball." But it I think you might have made the point there. It goes back to what we talked about. Like, he has to make himself be available to get those opportunities. And if he's not getting himself in position or getting good looks or taking good looks, then what more can Monty Williams do? What more can the players around him do to get him more involved? And when it comes to rebounding, as a center, you're going to get most of your rebounds on the defensive end. Like, yeah, grab the offensive boards where you can, but primarily you're there to get every defensive rebound and only allow one shot per trip, if you're not blocking the other shot attempts. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, I'm going to say it one more time. I'm optimistic for the Suns going forward, and I'm not too concerned about the injury stuff. Chris Paul's kind of been taking it easy anyway. And he will settle back in. Once he gets healthy, he'll take it slow and he'll rehab, because I think his primary focus is being healthy throughout the playoffs. And as long as this team can carry him through the regular season and get us a high seed in the playoffs, I will take Chris Paul load management all day. But Mike, actually, I just did realize, and Tallman too, also you can comment on this. I'm curious. We do talk about on Pass the Outlet. We do Reddit reacts on there, and I'm on Reddit with the Suns, r/Suns, I think it is, and they are everything Suns related, very active community on there. I highly recommend checking it out. But it's also a very, I don't want to say toxic place, because all of Reddit's toxic, and that's an overused phrase, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, the point being, they were really high on the return of Dario Saric, and it seems like he just hasn't really been having too much of an impact. You see here tonight, just 13 minutes, 2 of 4 from the field, so not too bad. A couple rebounds, a couple assists, 3 personal fouls. So what do you guys make of Dario Saric? Do you think like he's going to be a part of this team, or do you think he could be one of these guys that's included in a deal that's obviously imminent? I think he's out. Tallman, what about you?
Oh yeah, so that's interesting, because when you say do you think he's going to be part of a deal? Because the big question is, how come you're playing him, or you're playing Torrey Craig more than him? You know what I mean?
True.
Like,
Yeah, very
I don't know.
different
I mean,
positions, but
yeah, no, I get it, but like, how come he's not getting a chance when there's a chance to be had on this team? And they were all high on him coming back from the injury. Remember, he was playing overseas or something, and then some scout was like, "Oh yeah, he looked awesome. He looked in the best shape of his career." I mean, he's had a very slow start, but I don't know if we've had enough or large enough sample size to really get an idea. But I heard Al McCoy was on 98.7 today, and that's what he said about Dario Saric. He said he thinks that he's going to be part of a deal, which is why they're not playing him a bunch.
Yeah,
so I'm in favor of that.
I'm 100% with you. He's trade bait at this point.
Yeah.
Exactly like you're saying. This would be the opportunity to start getting him some more minutes in the 20s, early 20s. You don't want to stretch him out too much. He is 28 years old, so he's oh my God, it looks like he's almost kind of one of the older guys on the team, maybe right in the middle. But coming back from that ACL injury, some guys it just takes way longer, and we kind of saw that last year, right? He was practicing. It seemed like it might have been imminent for him to be making a push to come back during the playoffs, and then they just kind of shut him down and said, nope, we're gonna wait it out and have him rehab through the summer and hopefully come back stronger. But he was another guy that you probably didn't build out your entire bench as you would have thought, because you were hoping that you could get that scoring punch from him and help solidify it. But he just looks a little bit slow, and his shot has been okay, but he obviously hasn't had that many opportunities, and he's an undersized 4 right now. I think Torrey Craig just gives you more of a bigger body, even though he's playing out of position. Torrey Craig has proven that he can, handle himself on the defensive end and give you some spurts on the offense. That's not really kind of what he's known for, but Torrey Craig has just started off this season way hotter, and they're going to give him the opportunity over Dario, who is a guy who is just coming back from injury. But at this point, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being in some kind of deal to solidify that bench, maybe bring in a backup point guard and kind of figure out what the next steps are. So here's a question for you right now. Since Chris Paul is hurt, what's the plan for another point guard? Because you saw Dwayne Washington didn't get minutes at all tonight. Or is it just point book in those, second stints, or committee kind of ball handling? Like, what's the plan? Is there another plan to go get somebody? Like going back to like what your brother said, I know he was a high proponent of Kemba Walker. Is Kemba on a team? Is that something that the Suns try and do, just at least to fill in for this time frame? Because guys, the honest truth is Chris Paul is hurt every year, and he goes down for kind of extended amounts of time every year. And if you don't have another point guard to back up campaign, I think you're doing a disservice to this team. So they got to figure that one out too, when it comes to getting Jay out of here and then shoring up that backcourt.
Yeah, I didn't even realize, but you're totally right. I don't want to see them bring back point book. I know, of course, you do have Landry Shamet campaign. Landry Shamet is more of a shooting guard. I don't necessarily want to see him at the point guard position, but I don't know. I was just kind of trying to look up real quick who might be out there as far as free agents. I know the reports were previously that the Suns didn't want to entertain Chris Paul, or not Chris Paul, I'm sorry, Kemba Walker, and that they weren't really too interested in that. But things change. I mean, if you're seeing Chris Paul get banged up early, if maybe campaign isn't working out, I mean, so far through one game, looks like it is working out, and we don't know how long Chris Paul is going to be out, right? So this could be, I don't want to say a moot point, but I do want to I think personally that he will get injured or need to take time not away from the team, but off the court and have maybe those resting days. Not quite like Kawhi Leonard, who is the first part-time player in NBA history. It's truly incredible, but more of just like an older player in the league. Like LeBron James gets his rest days. Like all those guys got their rest days when they were older. Tim Duncan, the Spurs were the king of rest days with those guys. But anyway, that is going to be interesting to see what happens with the Suns. But I want to take a little bit of a turn here, and we have a lot to talk about with the Arizona Cardinals. They got the Rams coming into town this week. Or no, I'm sorry. Are we going to LA, or are they coming to town?
We're going to LA.
We're going to LA. All right. StreamYard will probably auto adjust me there because I yelled. But so we're going to LA. We're going to go and we're going to play the Rams and try and get a win. I did hear reports today that Matt Stafford is in concussion protocol. And then I think, did I also see that Kyler Murray was dealing with like a hammy or something like that?
Yeah.
How did he pull his hamstring playing Call of Duty, Tallman?
It's either that or he was studying too hard.
Yeah, that might be it.
There's really good stuff on that tablet. He got too excited.
He pulled it, run into his refrigerator to grab some G Fuel.
Some more G Fuel, Mountain Dew.
Oh, geez. Well, you know, when you have little legs, you know, they got to work twice as hard. You know, it's like the gingerbread man.
It was bound to happen eventually.
Yeah, you know.
Oy, oy, oy.
Yeah, then it's like, oh, well, if Stafford doesn't play, great. Give John Wolford another chance to beat us and humiliate us.
Oh, man, that's right.
He's the backup still for them. But
yeah, it sounds like Wolford is probably going to be the starter this week, especially since they just put Stafford into concussion protocols today. So I wouldn't be surprised for them to step him out there and see if he can get it done against the Cardinals again. John Wolford, who, if you remember, was the starting quarterback for the Arizona Hotshots.
That's right.
So he's got some Valley ties. Maybe that's why he likes playing the Cardinals and putting it to us. But
there you go.
You know, I was listening to another Valley podcast, PHNX Cardinals, with Johnny Venerable and Bo Brock. I really like what those guys do. They're really tapped in, especially since Bo Brock is kind of like a beat reporter for the Cardinals. So he's at the facility interviewing the coaches and the players and staying tapped in. But Johnny Venerable made a comment today where was really confusing to me, that he didn't want the Cardinals to have Kyler Murray play in this game if it was to play up against John Wolford. And my only thought process is, if you're doing that, you are 100% waving the white flag for the season, right? Do you think that Colt McCoy has a better chance to beat John Wolford? Maybe. I would hope so, especially with the way that they paid Colt. But at the same time, if you have the ability to win a game and your quarterback that you just paid $45 million a year to can play, you got to play him. And you got to try and win and get some kind of momentum to go into the 49ers, maybe scratch that one out, get a better division record, and maybe be back in this thing. So to just sit him out, I know he was looking completely long-term, but it's just a sad situation to sit here and almost have to be thinking about, well, if Kyler's just a little bit hurt, we need to hold him out for the future because this season is lost. And to have the season lost already in week 9, that is just the most disappointing thing you could ever imagine, especially with the trajectory that this team was on. So.
Dude. Yeah, could you imagine how embarrassing that would be for the Cardinals to bring in Colt McCoy, have him do really well and outplay Kyler Murray, and then how silly the whole organization would look for paying Kyler Murray all that money? Oh my goodness, the optics of that, I don't think they could handle it, but they've gotten themselves in this situation. I mean, Tallman, are you calling for Colt McCoy yet, or are you riding with your boy Kyler?
Well, no, if anyone's going to sit out, it should be Cliff. I think he should, you know, his ego is too hurt. He needs to take a week off.
Yeah, maybe a whole career.
No, I don't think that. I mean, even if Wolford does play, who cares? Even if Stafford was going to play, their offensive line, the Rams' offensive line, is worse than ours. Actually, no, it's probably just as bad as ours, because we just had Will Hernandez go on IR, Justin Pugh's on IR, Rodney Hudson's God knows where. You know, we'll do another week with Billy Price. Who gives a shit who's playing quarterback? We're still going to lose the game. And I think the same for the Rams. And then, let's put Colt McCoy's ass back there so that he just gets beat to shit by what's the guy's name? The Rams defensive end. Why am I drawing on his name?
Aaron Donald?
Aaron Donald, or defense tackle. He's going to get his ass beat by him. At least Kyler Murray can run away from him, you know. But jumping back to that, like you're saying, Mike, this game is way too valuable, and we need a win right now. And Cliff needs a win right now. If we lose next week, regardless of who starts at quarterback for either team, Cliff's ass is going to be so hot. He is done. He should be completely done. So he's coaching he's saving his job this week. And I bet you there's no way in hell Kyler Murray's sitting on the bench. I bet you they go out there and they try to beat the Rams by as many points as they possibly can. And we need it. The fans need it. I don't want to see Colt McCoy out there. Are you fucking kidding me? I want to go in LA. Stafford's not playing. I don't give a shit. I still want to beat the hell out of that team. And we need that right now to pick this team up. If we think we're going to go on a little bit of a run, which I don't think we are, but Cliff seems to think we're going to go on a little run because we're getting pieces back, then he's got to go out there. We got to make a statement. So no offense to that other podcast, but no way in hell should Kyler sit for this game. Like, that's stupid as hell. If the season's over, sit him for the rest of the season then, so he can play and he can beat the Call of Duty campaign in a week. I don't know. We have to win this game just for the sake of the franchise overall. Who gives a shit about the playoffs? We're going to do the cliche. This is game by game, week by week. We can't even look that far in the future, regardless of if it's going to be very grim or not. So he's playing. He better play. I'll be pissed. I won't watch the game.
Right. You need this win for the way that this season has begun, but you also need this win for the way that last season ended, with you going into SoFi Stadium and getting embarrassed on a national level in the first playoff game since 2015. If you can go in there and beat the hell out of John Walford or anybody, I don't care. I have a feeling, even if Kyler Murray plays, this game is going to end up being one of those like 9-6 games because both offenses are going to struggle to move the football up and down the field. The quarterbacks are going to be running for their lives on both ends, and it's going to be hard to muster points. But the team that makes the least amount of mistakes in this game is going to win. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem like that's been the Cardinals. But the Rams don't have that great a track record this year either. So this is kind of a toss-em. I think the line first started -3 for the Rams. I think it's gone down to -1. They might have even taken it off the sports books at this point, just because it's so much of a pick 'em. But you need this game, man. And it's going to go into the narrative that we'll talk about with Hard Knocks as well. That's the other thing, we are on full display for the world to dissect. This team and this franchise, when you bring cameras in to see your every waking move for an entire season, you got to go out there and get some kind of momentum to, I don't know, give you something. Because what happens if we lose this game against the Rams and we're 3-7? What happens down the road when we're looking at Hard Knocks and everybody's fighting each other on the sideline and we're calling for Cliff Kingsbury's head, even worse. But Michael Bidwell doesn't want to look like a loser because he gave them an unwarranted contract extension and has to fire him again, basically after 1 year, like Steve Wilkes' situation. Then you look like a laughingstock even more on a national level. So this is a must-win game. And it's not even about playoff implications at this point. It's like Tallman said, you need this game for the freaking fans, because this has been one of the worst starts in the past couple of years for a team that had such high expectations. And we need to get off this narrative that Sean McVay is our daddy. The guy is like shorter than Kyler Murray. That's not my dad. I'm 6'6". He's not my dad.
That's not your dad.
There ain't no way. Can you believe that Kyler Murray is the Cardinals' team leading rusher with 59 carries and 359 yards, 2 touchdowns?
I believe it.
Yeah, I guess because it's been kind of split up. Like Connor's been in and out. Benjamin, the other guy, forget his name. Excuse me, but it does look like you guys said. The Rams are also struggling. We have similar records, 3-6 and 3-5. Rams got an early bye. Clearly they needed it. But yeah, Mike, you're talking about the spread right now. It looks like Caesars Sportsbook has it at -1.5 for the Rams, probably just home field advantage. And I mean, yeah, a 1.5 spread is a pickup or a toss up, whatever you said. It's exactly that, because 2 points. What is that? A safety? Like nobody wins by a safety. Very rarely. Teams are winning by 3 points, 6 points, 7 points, 10 points, more often than not. And maybe that's why I lose most of my bets, because that's how I think. But
Look at
Who
that
knows?
over under on total points. That's
See,
40.
That-
Was it 42 points?
if there was ever a week to take the under, this is your chance. There's some free money for you.
Well, yeah, because it's two good defenses, right? Like the Rams defense isn't all that terrible. They've been in some pretty close games, lost by 3 to the Bucks. Oh, got blown out by the 49ers. Oh, didn't do so good. Okay, so they haven't been. It hasn't been close.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We also don't have Baker either.
But look, points allowed per game though, 21.6. So that's pretty few. I didn't realize we were without Baker. Buda Baker's gonna be out. Wait, I don't see that.
He has a high ankle sprain.
Mm-hmm. So
Oh,
he's for
okay.
sure out this week, but then it sounds like after this week he'll be day to day, where the initial reports were 2 to 3 weeks. But talk about having that dog in you. That's a guy who does.
Oh man, did you guys see that preview clip from Hard Knocks where he's?
I was going to ask. I feel like we should save that because I want to ask
Yeah.
you guys kind of how you feel.
Oh,
on that.
yeah.
So don't
Okay.
dive into it yet. But
Okay.
you know, the Cardinals are dealing with injuries. So are the Rams. So is every other team in the NFL. But this is just a game you have to have.
Aren't you
For
sick of saying
morality? For morality at
Dude.
this point, you
that?
know.
Dude, the last 5 games have been games we must-win games.
Yeah, and it's bad to have to be saying it this early in the year, right?
Yeah.
Because normally
Yeah.
you want to be down week 14, week 15, saying this is a must-win game for playoff positioning, right? To
Yeah, this
see
is
who
just to
gets
stay
home
alive.
field advantage. This is literally just to stay alive for a hope and a prayer to make the playoffs. That's something that I don't think that most Arizona Cardinals fans, and I know specifically us, didn't see this year, especially when we were breaking down the schedule, looking at what this record might be, where I know I was saying maybe 11, 12 wins. We were all saying probably double digits. And
We're gonna have to go back and look at that.
Let's do like a
Maybe-
super cut of our predictions.
So,
Yeah.
and then here's the other thing. Maybe we don't know sports that well, because I'm pretty sure at one point we were like, it's going to be Cardinals, Rams, Niners, Seahawks. Seahawks, one of the worst teams in the NFL. It is absolutely completely flipped. And I think the 49ers are gaining some better momentum, especially after picking up Christian McCaffrey and getting
Not
him
see that
involved
coming.
a little bit more. So, you know, it's going to be a dogfight. But, oh my goodness, man. Oh my goodness.
Dude, so there's so much going on with this team and the drama. Like, it kind of makes sense that they're on Hard Knocks. And I have some criticisms. There are some things I need to get off my chest, but I also want to get your perspective on it while maybe so I don't rant too long. I made a couple notes here, wrote a couple things down, and top of my list right now, I've talked to Tallman a bit about this, but I've noticed that Kyler Murray doesn't make any adjustments at the line. He doesn't call any plays. It seems like he doesn't make any audibles. It's just very vanilla. He gets the call into his headset, reads it in the huddle, goes out, and if it doesn't get off in time, they either take a timeout or take a penalty, and he gets real mad, real mad, and throws a little fit. So it's things like that I am just concerned about long term with Kyler Murray. Is he really a franchise quarterback? Either one of you who wants to take this, Tallman, I guess I'll pass it to you first. Are you, since we've talked about this, are you worried about him not calling audibles and really being that leader?
Well, yes and no. And the reason I say no is because I don't think it's all his fault. We've seen Kyler Murray decline this year. He's taken a step back. He hasn't gotten better. He's gotten worse. And for him, yeah, I hear you. I mean, I think we were watching one Cardinals game, and I think it was late in the third quarter, and the announcer was like, he just checked out, called an audible, and we're like, there it is. There's his first audible of the game.
Yeah.
You don't really see him do it, or I mean, at least we can't tell on the TV if he's screaming or not, but it doesn't look like he's really checking out, or he's not reading coverages. And even when he drops back, he can't read a defense. He can't read the secondary either. And it's
He
like
can't see the secondary, Tallman.
yeah, that's it, right? Get him a step stool. So then when he drops back and he sees when his first read's not there, what does he do? He scrambles out and he runs, or he used to do that, and sometimes he doesn't do that anymore. Now all he does, or wait, no, let me take that back. He doesn't read anything downfield because all they do is throw it horizontal, and they do a fucking wide receiver screen every play. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, but like going back to what you're saying, the reason why I'm saying I said yes and no. You'd like to see him really jump into that leadership role where, I mean, we have kind of seen that a little bit this year where he's, getting in people's faces and, holding them accountable, right? I'm going to use that word very sparingly here, but he's also getting in the face of his head coach. And the reason I said no is because he's not getting coached. There's no one's taking away his Xbox after the game when he doesn't do good. Where's Cliff Kingsbury? He should be pulling up at Kyler Murray's house and grabbing his Xbox, saying, "You can't have this until you win a fucking football game." That was mean. But he's not getting coached. Where's the accountability? Where's the discipline? This whole thing, going back to the calm the fuck down, when you tell your head coach to calm, I know we've talked about this before, but it's like, how can you just sit there as a head coach and let that player tell you to calm the fuck down in front of the rest of your team?
Like you said, what would that have been if BA was still the coach of the Cardinals? My goodness,
BA would have had a heart attack. It's unbelievable. There's no discipline in that locker room. It's like, where's the leadership from the head coach? I mean, I get you can scream as a quarterback, scream at your offensive coordinator. Big Ben really liked his offensive coordinator, but you're not allowed to say that stuff to the head coach. The head coach is the top guy, and I don't know. It's just, I think if Kyler Murray had more leadership above him, teaching him how to be a leader, holding him accountable, disciplining him, right? I'm emphasizing those two words. I think he'd be a way better player than he is right now. So I think that part of it is really, really on Cliff Kingsbury. And then you look at how Cliff Kingsbury's lost control of his team. It's hard to watch. The whole DeAndre Hopkins thing. Did you guys see DeAndre Hopkins put himself in the game? He wasn't even supposed to be on the play. D-Hop just ran on the field. He said, "I'm playing, coach." And Cliff was like, "Oh, okay." No, you sit there and go, "No, get the fuck back on the sideline." You don't make head coach decisions. I make head coach decisions. So,
oh my God.
So I know I got off track there.
No, that's perfect.
But no, yes and no. I think there's two sides to that, to your question regarding Kyler Murray.
I think I'm really excited to see what happens with Hard Knocks, because it's going to start to put some things in perspective in regards to what the true relationship is between Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury, and how much trust is between both of them. This is year 4, and this is the same playbook that they have been running their entire time together.
Yeah. For
Kyler Murray not to have more trust, possibly from his head coach, to make adjustments at the line in year 4, if that's not happening, that's something to be worried about. You should know this playbook in and out like the back of your hand, and have no problem to step up to the line, see specific coverages, and make calls to put yourself into better position without the coach's approval. So that'll be something that I'll be looking for when I watch Hard Knocks, in regards to how they communicate with each other, and if there is really any pushback from Cliff Kingsbury when Kyler says, "Hey, this might be not the way to go," or "I'm seeing this differently," right? That'll be something very interesting to see. It's also, there's not many guys like Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, who can look at the way that defensive backs position themselves and automatically know if they're in zone, if they're in man, cover 3, whatnot, and be able to switch into a play that is basically zone beaters, or something that is going to give your team a better opportunity to score up against. And unfortunately, from what we've seen, Kyler Murray's not that guy. But that also means that there needs to be a give and take with each other to adjust within the game plan and work with each other to put yourself into better successes. Like, how come we don't have any designed scramble boots? You know what I mean? How come there's no rollouts to get Kyler Murray using his legs, which is one of his strengths, and get guys out and throw the ball downfield a little bit more instead of doing these 5-7 step drops and having the defense collapse around him where he can't get out ever? I've seen so many sacks this year where he literally is just in his drop back, and as soon as he puts his back foot down and steps forward once, he is cannibalized by the defense and has nowhere to go. And we keep doing that over and over and over again. I know the guy's short. Put him under center a couple of times and have some design boots or something. Like, try something out. What is it? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And that's all this team has done this year.
Well, but if you're going to do boots, they have to be little boots for him. Sorry, Chris.
No, baby boots.
No, Tallman, that's perfect. That's what we love you for. But Mike, I agree totally. Like, I almost wonder if Cliff is just maybe overthinking it, like with his play calls. Like, he's thinking like, oh, that's exactly what they think I'll do, so I'm gonna do what they think I won't do, and that's why he's trying reverse screen plays and halfback draws and
that pretty boy football nonsense.
That pretty boy football. Yeah, he's
throwing two forward passes in the same play.
Exactly. That was embarrassing, dude. And Tallman, I have to bring up what you brought up earlier, what you said earlier too, is like Cliff is playing for his job. And the past couple games, I don't know if you guys see it, but he looks scared. He looks timid on the sideline. And you bringing up the DeAndre Hopkins situation and him checking himself into the game, Kyler blatantly not respecting him, telling him to calm the fuck down, him looking like a scared little guy.
Just say it.
A scared little pussy. And I don't know what
It's not what I thought you were gonna say.
I was trying to decide between scared little bitch and scared little pussy. Both are inappropriate, and Mom, I'm sorry. But Cliff has just not been the guy, and I think we all see it. I think ask almost any Cardinals fan, and they would be perfectly fine if Cliff Kingsbury was fired tomorrow. What is the alternative? I don't know, but I think I'm willing to try anything else at this point because Kyler Murray needs help, man. He needs help. He needs better play calling. He needs Robbie Anderson to actually catch passes. He needs guys to get open. He needs his offensive line to hold up. It's just, I don't think it's so much to ask. And so I know I give Kyler Murray a hard time, and we like to have fun about his little legs and his little bootlegs and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, there are guys around him not living up to the hype either. And thank goodness for this defense, because otherwise I don't really know where this team would be. I mean, Tallman, what was the stat you were telling me about Robbie Anderson? And he's at like -4 yards and how many receptions since we got him?
Uno.
One reception for -4 yards?
One catch. His first catch was this last week. Yep.
He could have had a real nice one, that one that hit him in the fucking chest. I guess I don't want to hold back on swearing too much after that, but
oh shit, I was on mute. But...
Oh, were you talking, Tallman? Yeah, I was wondering.
Yeah, my bad. No, I was just saying. Last week, Robbie Anderson played like 55 offensive snaps.
Incredible.
What is he doing? He's just running around with bricks in his hands. I mean,
I guess
it's like, why trade, draft capital? Granted, it was a 6th and a 7th round pick, but you're not even using the guy. And okay. And his excuse is, I'll be quick on the Robbie Anderson because he's just a trash can. The excuse is, well, he's still learning the playbook. You got him to run straight. Say, hey, Robbie, go line up on the outside and run fucking straight. And then the one time he does, Kyler Murray throws off his back foot. It's like 15 yards behind him, and Robbie's not even looking. He looked like Forrest Gump out there playing football. It's ridiculous. But shit, I'm sorry.
Well, no,
Yeah,
that's a great point though. That's literally something that an assistant coach on the sideline can show him a tablet and be like, Robbie, you're going to run a post
yeah,
just right here.
this way.
And even if he's on half this, I would rather him take half the snaps and know the route he's running and do it confidently than just half-ass 80 snaps or 50 snaps, whatever you said. I don't know. I mean, we didn't give up much for him. Sorry, Tom, I didn't mean to go on a tangent, but
No,
I just don't know about Robbie Anderson, man. Like it was kind of on paper, it's kind of exciting when you consider the prospect of having DeAndre Hopkins, Hollywood Brown, Robbie Anderson, Rondale Moore, all these guys, Zach Ertz, people that can catch the ball and make plays, and then to just not be able to get it to him, to have Robbie Anderson dropping the passes. I know I've said that Kyler Murray needs the help, but Rondale Moore is stepping up. I don't know really what happened with DeAndre Hopkins in that last game, if he just got shut down or what, because he went from getting double-digit receptions to only having 4 the last game, I'm pretty sure. So,
dude, he didn't get targeted in the last 29 minutes of the game.
Inexcusable.
Because,
He
it's
like took
inexcusable.
himself out of the game, basically.
He got in a fight with Kyler Murray, so Kyler Murray didn't throw him the ball. That's probably not what it was, but that's they recorded another argument
between
on
Kyler
national
and
television on
Hop?
the Cardinals sideline, and it was D-Hop and Kyler screaming at each other. And then after they showed that, he had 1 target, didn't have another catch.
Yeah, so then he's probably hot dogging it out there, not trying. He's just going through the motions.
There's
not
no
getting
accountability.
open. So
D-Hop does whatever he wants.
And this is
Why?
a way bigger thing than just the players that you have on the field, right? When you bring in a guy like Robbie Anderson and you don't get any kind of production within 3 games, like I would have expected him to have a game with at least like 4 catches, 48 yards or something. To have a net negative for through 3 games, it's a fundamental breakdown at the coaching level, guys. Like that's what it comes down to. Other teams are bringing in pieces and adding to the good cores that they already have. We have all of these superstar names and guys who can still play football and are good football players, but we can't figure out how to score more than 2 touchdowns against the Seattle Seahawks. I know that they're in the front division in the NFC West, but I mean, come on, man. No touchdowns at all against the Rams, who are basically the same record as us. It's not just the offensive line not holding up. It's not just a poor run game. It's a poor system. It's guys not getting on the same page. And it's the accountability, which is exactly like you guys have been talking about. And it's going to be only a matter of time. But I think this is going to come down to Michael Bidwell, hopefully not looking like he gets too much tomato on his face and looking like an idiot for the decision to extend Steve Keim and Cliff Kingsbury this offseason. He is trying to hold on for dear life and see if maybe they can make a turnaround. But you are what you are through 9 weeks, right? We're at the halfway point. This team is what it is. It's not a good football team.
Right, it's not.
I mean, you're right. You bring up Michael Bidwell. He's in a tough spot, right? Because he is clinging on to these guys have to work out. But I almost wonder, what is he to do, man? What do you do with Kyler Murray? Do you have to still have a contending team if you move Kyler Murray? And is that what does the market look like for that?
Oh, dude, we can't move Kyler Murray.
That's what I'm saying.
There's nobody who's going to take him right now.
So you get rid of Cliff and Keim, and is that the change that spurs it?
But that's the other problem that you're in right now. You don't have any coaches in the background that are going to be able to step in and take over as offensive coordinator if you fire Cliff Kingsbury, because you put all your eggs into that basket. Say that you fire Cliff and you bring up Vance Joseph to take over as the head coach. Okay, now who steps in as defensive coordinator? Is Vance going to just call the defensive plays and be the head coach, acting head coach? Well, who's going to call the offensive plays? It's too late to bring in a guy off the street. you're in such a tough position to make
It's
any kind
Spencer
of
Whipple.
changes right now.
Yeah. Co-pass game coordinator. That's going to be our new offensive coordinator.
Oh, wonderful.
Chris, you're muted.
A guy with 4 years experience.
Hey, it's
Thank
better
you.
than Cliff.
Thank you, Tallman. Yeah, I was just saying, I don't care. You can have Spencer Whipple, you can have Cam Turner, you can have Jeff Rogers, Sean Kugler. I don't even care at this point. Anybody but Cliff Kingsbury. And what is this 7 years of experience? Are they counting his college coaching in that?
They must.
Yeah.
7 years of experience, my ass, dude.
But
This guy is a joke. I even said, I tweeted out earlier today that I was going to go in, and I feel like I haven't gone in hard enough. I'm really trying to contain it because I don't think that this is the way. And since we launched Valley Sports Plug and we're doing this, guys, I am not going to lie to you. I might be more of a Cardinals fan than a Steelers fan at this point. It might have finally happened. It might have finally happened.
I mean, yeah.
It was only a matter
about
of time.
You friggin' live here, dude. What the hell?
Not only do I live here, I was born and raised here. But for anyone who doesn't know, my whole mother's side of the family is from Pittsburgh, and they were very strong football fans. And my father's side of the family was from here, but they were not very big football fans. So thus, I was raised to be a Steelers fan. Not my fault. I still love them. I can have my AFC team and my NFC team, but now I think I'm mostly a Cardinals fan. And that's why I'm so passionate, and that's why I'm going to get on here and speak so passionately about it, because I do want to see this team win. I mean, I really always have. I've always wanted to see this team win. And it's just, like I said, there's a lot of thoughts running through my mind as we talk about Cliff Kingsbury, Kyler Murray, Steve Keim, what's going to happen with this team going forward, and how good the defense has been at times, but how disappointing this offense continues to be. And I guess one of my last thoughts, kind of just on the Cardinals more broadly, is with all these issues and things we've seen through the offseason and the beginning of this season, these DeAndre Hopkins stories and Kyler Murray yelling at Cliff Kingsbury, how much do you think of an impact? Like, do you think Larry Fitzgerald kind of saw the writing on the wall and maybe didn't like some of that stuff he was seeing and didn't want to play for Cliff Kingsbury? I mean, it just brings up so many questions for me.
Oh, man. You know how I feel about the way that Larry left. I'm very disappointed. And not because I think that he left this team out to dry. It has nothing to do with that. He was towards the end of his career anyways. He wasn't going to be that much of an impact player anymore. I just wanted to make sure that we gave him his proper flowers and the proper send-off that he deserved for being a Valley legend. But with that being said, right, a couple of years can maybe clear some things out to the way that what you're talking about. Maybe he saw the writing on the wall when Kyler Murray first came into the league, and he kind of knew, I don't know if this is the guy that I want to be leading the charge towards the end of my career, because he has some learning to do, some growing to do, and to finish off your career going through nonsense after Larry did it for 15 plus years already with this franchise. He just was ready to kind of step away from the game. Yeah, I'll always be mad at Larry for that, but no fault to his own.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what I think. That's what more broadly, like, what I'm really wondering is if he wasn't ready to hang it up and in a better situation wouldn't have hung it up. But like we're saying here, because of the writing on the wall, because he didn't like the way things were trending, he took a step back, and it's gotten to the point where everyone knows he's retired. I'm 99.9% confident Larry's never going to play a snap ever again. But he hasn't filed his papers. He's still, I don't know. I don't think he's a free agent. I don't know what he is technically. Maybe a free agent. Maybe I think he might still be under contract. I don't even know.
No,
what happened?
I think towards the end he was basically just doing those kind of 1-year deals.
Right.
To extend, so I think technically he could be a free agent. But I mean, Tallman, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he come out and basically say, I'm not retired, but I'm not playing football again? Didn't he come out and say something like that?
Yeah, he wouldn't admit that he was retired. He just said he didn't want to play football at the moment. So he left the door open. But yeah, because I heard that too. He didn't file his papers, so technically he's still a free agent. because he was on that Larry 1 year, 11 million, right? That's what it was every year.
He did that for a couple of years.
Yeah, but he'll never admit the reason why he stopped playing football was because of Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury. He'll
No.
never
Of course
admit
not.
that.
Of course
No,
not.
no. But we can speculate all we want, but he'll never, ever admit it. It'll be the biggest mystery of the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
That's so crazy, man. For a guy who
really-
played for your franchise, how many was it? 17 years? 17, 18 years? And to
Yeah.
literally just like fade off into oblivion without really being like, yeah, I'm done. I'm hanging him up. Like, that's so crazy. But that also doesn't put a good spotlight on your team, right?
Yeah, why did he do that?
That it's like you just left and you weren't even going to say that you're retired. Like, I don't know if some bad blood went down or something like that. It's
I don't know. Well, you know, Tom Brady will sign that 1-day contract with the Patriots when he's done.
oh yeah.
He'll retire a Patriot. You know that.
I know it's not the same, but just imagine if you worked somewhere for 20 years and then one day you just stop showing up and you're like, yeah, I don't know if I'm retired or not. I'm doing other stuff right now. Be like, well, you gotta know. But I mean, it's not like they're saving a desk for him.
Yeah.
They're not saving a desk or a locker for Larry at the facility at this point. So I guess that's not the same. But just think that was funny. I don't know.
They'd be like, Chris, I'm pretty sure your PTO ran out. We can't pay anymore, man. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm taking an extended leave of absence. But last topic I want to talk about tonight, last thing about the Arizona Cardinals, and we mentioned it a bit on the recap, is that we got this Hard Knocks, this HBO Hard Knocks that came out tonight, and so I'm pretty eager to check it out. Yeah, so it's probably still on right. No, it's not on right now. It's 9:45, but I don't know. I think, can you watch it with like HBO Max or how do you?
Yeah, it's on HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna watch it after this.
Yeah, I think that's probably what I'm gonna do. I'll probably watch it tonight too. I'm very curious. Do you guys know like where does it start out, like week 1 or like the off season?
I'm sure that they'll probably start with some off-season work, but it won't be as kind of heavy within training camp like the Hard Knocks training camp is, right? Because they have their own show for that. I'm pretty sure it's more kind of centralized on the regular season. You know, I didn't watch the Indianapolis Colts one last year, which was that the first one ever? Was that the first in-season Hard Knocks ever? Or have they already done it a couple of years?
No, they've done it a couple of years.
But I
won't lie, I've never watched them.
Yeah, but this would be the first time that I'll be watching that. And, you know, it's something that this franchise isn't new to. In 2015, they partnered with Amazon Prime and basically did the whole in-season All or Nothing, which was
a good one.
So awesome. But it'll be a different type of perspective because what happened that year? We were great. We were at the top of the NFC. I think we won 13 games, made it to the NFC Championship. But, of course, we choked it away like we always do. Carson Palmer with 5 interceptions. The prophecy year was supposed to be this year, so it would have been perfect transition to have it happen again, where we do an in-season kind of documentary style. But now we'll get to see the shit end of the stick, I guess you could say, and the bad aspects of football. I wonder how much of a shit show it's going to be honest with you. And I wonder how many of those clips they got with Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray and Kyler blowing up at him.
You know, they did.
Kyler and D-Hop getting into it, and hopefully we'll be able to kind of hear some of those exchanges and what happened with that. That's what the national media loves. That's what entertainment is all about. So maybe Hard Knocks picked the right team this year.
We'll see. I mean, that with all the drama we've been talking about, I'm very, very interested to see what all happens with that. And like, I don't know, there's just so many things. Like first 6 games without D-Hop. It's crazy it feels like D-Hop's already been here all season when really he hasn't been here, but more than like what, 2-3 games he's played now? 3 games, I think.
3 games.
Yeah. So It's crazy. So there's going to be that dynamic. There's going to be Hollywood Brown new, Robbie Anderson when he came in new. I don't know how the episodes are going to work, but I imagine we might not see Robbie Anderson for a little while. We kind of saw the schedule there. It's going to go on throughout the season. And Mike, you did mention the prophecy year there. I don't know. I don't know if we've explained that yet. Maybe on
Oh
a
wait, is that the picture that you took with Robbie Anderson?
Ha! Yeah, yes. It's
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
yes.
Sorry, that
Yeah.
made no sense unless you
I
explained it.
saw Robbie Anderson inside of Tallman's kitchen. He was there, and I took a picture with him. Mike, though, can you tell us like more about the prophecy?
Yeah, so the prophecy year was back in 2015 when the Cardinals were making their good run. They beat the Packers in that stunning overtime win where Larry Legend had that huge 70, 80-yard run and ended up
Oh
punching it.
yeah,
And we played the Carolina Panthers, and we were over at your guys' old place in Tempe watching that game and watching the team basically just unravel. 5 picks, like I said, by Carson Palmer. When we thought we had some momentum to get back into that game, our favorite former cornerback, Patrick Peterson, fumbled a punt return, which basically sealed that game. And as unfortunately, the demoralizing fashion of being a Phoenix and Arizona fan, we couldn't get over that hump to get where we wanted to. We were feeling ourselves a little bit at the end of that game, and there was a famous photo of Chris sitting on the ground next to a trash can with his hands in his head. And I think did I take it? I think that I took it,
think
right?
you did. Yeah.
But it was a Snapchat photo, and I put a caption, "Cards 2022," basically saying our time frame of having any kind of relevancy within the NFL wasn't going to happen again until 2022.
And that seems so far in the future.
At that point, I
At
mean,
that
now
time.
it's 7 years ago.
7
But
years.
we thought it might have started to
Crazy.
happen last year. Even though technically that's the 2021 season, it went into 2022, but we know how the team tapered off and just was once again a national laughingstock in the playoffs, which it's just funny how Arizona sports finds a way to consistently do that. But we were hoping that this year would be the prophecy year, and unless there's some kind of miracle that happens, that prophecy will unfortunately not be coming true.
Well, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, stranger things have happened. I mean, the Bengals made it to the Super Bowl last year with a 10-7 record. Who knows? The Cardinals sneak in as a wild card. Wild card teams have won the Super Bowl before. I think there was a team in 2005. Steelers were wild cards that won the Super Bowl. So prophecy years tend to be magical. So I think we got to stay riding with these boys. It's hard to be optimistic amidst everything, but who knows? Maybe Hard Knocks will give this team the lift they need, and these guys like the attention. All these guys like to be the star. So maybe it'll spur them to start playing better. Obviously, Cliff Kingsbury's playing for his job. So if Steve Keim is riding with him, if Michael Bidwell's riding with him, whoever has final say on that, they got to step up, man. Just like we talk about with the Suns, DeAndre Ayton needing to step up with adversity and injuries. We need to see Cliff Kingsbury, Kyler Murray step up in the face of adversity with injuries. And Hollywood Brown's out. There's some other guys banged up. Buda Baker on the defensive side, but what's it always been, guys? Next man up. Am I right?
Well, you got to have that next man to, where's the depth?
That's the thing, though. Like other teams seem to be able to find these guys from the AAF that were undrafted from, like in the late rounds. Like, why can't we get those Keim? Where is our Keim time? Anything? Keim has been such a dud lately. Like, and I mean lately, the past 3-4 years.
What do you think they found Billy Price?
Oh goodness, CMU.
Oh my God. Talk about a trash can. Billy Price is he's like his cousin or something. Robbie Anderson's the trash can. Billy Price is the recycle can. He's the worst center ever.
Oh, his birthday is the day before mine,
All right, look at that.
but I'm a year older.
Ohio State. He was a first-round pick. Oh my goodness.
Wow,
Anyway,
that's embarrassing.
they should have traded for a center, but
You don't like Billy Price, do you, Tom?
did you see what he did last week? He had 2 false starts in a row.
Yeah, he had
And then he
false
snapped
starts.
a ball over
That's
Kyle
not
Murray's
good,
head.
bro.
Did a couple other high snaps. He's the worst.
I always love those false starts where literally everybody on the offense is moving and the center is just holding the ball. Like,
Yeah, so it's like-
what?
Yeah. Obviously, there's supposed to be a snap. Everyone moved, didn't just. I don't know. He's horrible. He's so bad. If we needed anybody back right now, it's Rodney Hudson. So I don't know.
Well,
Next man up, right?
Good luck.
We'll see. I mean, I'm not surprised with Rodney Hudson. The guy had 1 foot into retirement this offseason. So now he's just, I mean, who knows if he even really wants to play football.
Yeah.
So we'll see what kind of impact he made. I guess one thing I could say, too, about the offensive line in regards to this game coming up as well is, you know, even when Will Hernandez and Rodney Hudson were on the field, Aaron Donald was kicking their ass all over the field. So now we got practice team guys coming up here. Oof. It'll be a long day. If Kyler Murray plays, you know, say a prayer for him. Do a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
Sprinkle some holy water on your TV. I mean, do anything you can to hopefully protect that guy.
Now that's interesting. Maybe Kyler Murray's going into the practices lately this week. Like, ooh, you know, it's real sore. Like, I might be questionable this week. Like, ooh, send Colt out there to take those hits. I don't want to see Aaron Donald this week. I don't know. Obviously,
he's walking around the facility on crutches, just to milk it.
A little bit of a limp while people are watching. Obviously you don't want that to be the case. I'm sure it's not the case. Kyler has been mostly professional, I think. It's an intense game, and it is a game at the end of the day. So I'm not going to fault him for blow-ups on the sideline. I know even playing in low-stakes basketball games, I still get heated from time to time. It's bound to happen, but I don't know. I'll be watching this Sunday. They kick off in the afternoon, I think 2:25 local time here. But guys, it's getting pretty late here tonight, coming up on 10 p.m. So what, if anything, do you have to say about the Cardinals and the remainder of the season, or even the game this Sunday? Tallman.
Yeah. Okay. So rest of the year, season's over. If we don't win Sunday, Cliff Kingsbury's fired. Then we'll definitely be at that point as a team where you're just trying to throw something at the wall and see if something sticks. So they need to try something different. Cliff will be fired if we lose. Vance Joseph will be our interim head coach, and Spencer Whibley, or what was his name, Whipple, will be calling the plays.
I like Whibley better.
Yeah, Whibley. But I mean, really, what I think how the season's going to go, how it's going to end, it's going to go how it would end if the season ended today. We would have a top 10 pick, and Cliff Kingsbury would be fired, and he'd be on a 4 or 5 year paid vacation, and we'll be bringing someone else in new. So unfortunately, that's what it is. I know we talked a little bit about it being a must-win game. It's because we've already taken the hope and thrown it out the window. You know, we're just doing this for the fans, not for the playoffs. But I think the season's over. Cliff is gone, especially if we lose that game. He's definitely gone. But yeah, I'm excited to watch Hard Knocks. So there we go.
Tallman, did you like that eliminated picture that I put in the recap when you first said it?
I didn't watch it yet.
You gotta be
kidding
me, bro.
About it. God damn it.
All of my hard work.
I couldn't even lie because I told Chris before we started I didn't watch it yet. So I couldn't even lie.
Well, keep an eye out for that when you watch it. Valley Sports Plug on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe. Tallman.
Yeah, Tallman.
I'll watch it now before Hard Knocks.
Ring that
there
bell.
You go.
Make sure your notifications are on so you know when we go live.
You got it.
So the things that I'm looking forward to for the rest of this season is just finish strong, right? It doesn't mean that you have to finish with a 500 record. It just means that you have to go out there and be as competitive as you can be day in and day out. Start cracking down on some of these easy mistakes that we continue to see. The time management, holding on to your timeouts in the second half, for giving yourself an opportunity to use some of those to get back into games. Just smarter decisions, getting this offense rolling a little bit more, especially down the line when we get Hollywood Brown back, putting him together with DeAndre Hopkins. For Hard Knocks, I'm really interested to see kind of the ins and outs of some of these younger guys on our team that are going to be the future, like Isaiah Simmons, Zaven Collins, even Budda Baker. Even though he's been around for a longer time now, he's still newer to this franchise and is the face of that defense. So I want to see those interactions with Vance Joseph, those guys, and some of those newer guys. I'd almost be interested to see what happens with Antonio Hamilton, and if they kind of, do a deep dive into his injury, or would you say it injury or accident? I don't know. But even though our team sucks, we're gonna stay tuned to Hard Knocks for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, Hard Knocks can be like a silver lining, something we have to look forward to. There's still time in this season. The division, the whole NFL landscape isn't that crazy. Everyone's kind of up and down, and nobody's really world beaters right now. There's a couple teams that are starting to separate, but other than that, we'll see. All I'm saying is it's not too late for the Cardinals to turn it around. And if Cliff Kingsbury wants to keep his job, he's going to have to turn it around. So we'll see. I agree with Tallman. It must win this Sunday. The catalyst to turning this season around starts now. We still don't have a bye week for a little while. A lot of division games coming up. Of course, we just played the Seahawks last week, so time to buckle down, time to get serious. But we'll talk more about this. I'm sure we got a regular Heat Check podcast recording coming up very soon, so be on the lookout for that. Michael Benjamin and I will bring you a Pass the Outlet very soon, I'm sure. And then we'll be right back here for some more Heat Check Podcast Live. So just make sure you're following us across all those social media platforms. You can see it right there below. I don't need to repeat myself. So for Michael Benjamin and VSP Tallman, I'm Chris Patrick, and we will see you soon. Peace.